Okay, so this one, Krista picked out is called Mosquito Squad. So, as you can probably imagine, it deals with mosquito control, but it's more than just that. It's insect control and pest control to a various level. But it's been established since 2004. Mosquito Squad is part of the Authority Brands umbrella. So we've talked about Authority Brands before, but similar to Neighborly, but their umbrella company that owns maybe 13-ish, 13, 14 different home services franchises underneath its umbrella. So a lot of good synergies between their companies' ability to expand and grow into other brands as you grow your franchise empire. So it's a really good company, and we like Authority Brands quite a bit. So Mosquito Squad is their pest control or insect control franchise. They have 217 units throughout the country. The total investment's around 164,000 and 220,000. That's going to include 12 months of additional funds. Usually you only see 3 months included in the investment range in the Atom 7 of the FDD, but this one includes 12 months for some reason, which I kind of like that better than just including 3 months because it really gives you a pretty accurate picture for that full year. But that's going to include like having the van and all the equipment and your technicians labor to go out and spray everything. And I bet you it even includes adding a second van within that first year. My guess is within that first year you're going to have two technicians and two vans out on the road. But basically what they do is they do pest elimination and control services. They do both residential and commercial. Three main categories of pests. It's small pests that stay outside, like mosquitoes, ticks, ants, pests that eat plants. So like, they have special stuff and chemicals that they spray on your plants to not kill the plants, but basically get rid of the pests that will eat up your plants. And then they have stuff inside the home like bed bugs or termites. So they can treat for all of those. They do probably a healthy mix between commercial and residential work. I mean, you can imagine like, a restaurant, for example, they can't be having like insects and stuff. So I'm guessing they would be a prime customer to have a weekly or biweekly treatment done or whatever it may be. So there is a nice recurring revenue element for this for both residential and commercial. According to the FDD here, let's look at average gross. So average territory gross revenue. So the top quartile is averaging 1.1 million. Second quartile averaging 452,000. And then, the bottom half, the bottom 50% drops off pretty significantly. So, this is definitely one you want to see yourself being above average performer. But this one is pretty low overhead. I don't think you need like a warehouse or anything to run this. I think you can operate it out of your home. And if you need like a storage unit, you can get one. But really those vans come with everything your technicians need to do their jobs on a daily basis. And then you just continue to order the materials or supplies as you go through them. So pretty straightforward. Let's see if we want to scroll down some of the other, or do you want to add on anything here in terms of the numbers?
Yeah. So where we got that number 2.8 million, you can see that in the first quartile, the top 25% of performers, the highest performing territory does $2.8 million in sales, which is crazy to think about because that person, invested on average around $200K to get their business up and running. Didn't mean they didn't invest more to add on to it. I would imagine they probably have multiple vans, etc. But to, produce a business that's doing $2.8 million in sales, which is pretty crazy. It's just pretty wild overall. And yeah, some of these other territories. I mean, here's what I like. Here's what I like about this FDD, the item 19, is that they show it by territory.
Yeah.
And sometimes franchisors, for those of you guys that, aren't familiar and aren't looking at FDDs every day like our team is, sometimes franchisors will just show the average sales per owner or franchisee, but you don't know if they own one territory or three territories or 10.
Yeah.
So I like that.
It's interesting. It's a good point, Tar, because I was actually meeting with one of our clients the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, I just don't see the potential, like based on the item 19." And it was an Authority Brands. It was the plumbing franchise, and I was like, that's surprising to hear. Let's pull it up and let me understand what you're talking about. He didn't realize it was by territory, and then we scrolled down and it was like by franchisee. And so when you look at it that way, it's very impressive. It changes mindset totally, but you can see why people can maybe misread things like that, and if they don't read through this. And but yeah, it's a really good point. I like how all Authority Brands do it this way.
Oh, that's solid. That's super transparent. And to that point, like most people in this sort of business, they're not typically going to only buy one territory. I mean, I don't have any data on this, but I would guess the average owner probably has at least two, the average owner, and a lot of the times like two to three. So you figure, okay, well, if at the 50 percentile kind of mark, the average owner is doing somewhere, between that 226 to 450. So let's call it like, 350 to 400 or so in sales, and you have two territories. Well, you have two territories of a business that's doing 700K in sales, and you have the efficiencies where you only have one manager, overseeing the two territories, or one salesperson overseeing the two territories. So there is economies of scale that's important, to just kind of be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Some other cool things. There's no royalties for the first year in business, which that's pretty rare. I mean, there are some franchises that'll give like 3 months, but a whole year, that's pretty rare. So that's cool. And then they do large territories. So up to 500,000 in population per territory, that's a massive territory. Usually you see for this type of business, it's around 200,000. So yeah, if you could get two territories for this brand and have a huge population to serve, I think it's definitely something you could scale. The reoccurring revenue is nice. They have a 70% renewal rate on among customers. Operate from home, like we talked about, and then you just add vans and one tech per van as you scale. That's the other thing. It's not like highly skilled labor. It's your payroll is probably going to be pretty low. I'm guessing your margins are pretty strong in this one. So yeah, I like these businesses. There's a lot of pest control franchises and just a lot of competition in general. So, really understanding how to do that competitive market analysis is probably also going to be important in this type of business. But at the end of the day, like we talked about for Window Genie, it's probably about marketing and sales and your ability to really put your foot on the gas pedal there.
Yeah, 100%. Here, I think there's a couple questions, but real quick for those of you guys, so whether it's you want to see if this franchise is available in your area, I'd be curious to even know what markets are actually even still available with this brand with over 200 territories sold. But if you want to find out if your area is still available for this specific franchise, or if you just want to have a conversation on what franchises are available in your area that could be a good fit for you, that align with your goals, your skill sets, then you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. You can schedule a free 15-minute call with our team to start the conversation.